something we all need. Gotta have it now if you wanna succeed. Striving, surviving, that's no doubt. Sticking together, we gon' find a way out. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all.
All right. Good afternoon, the back community. You know how I like to open these things up. Thank you, as always, for staying involved. Thank you for staying engaged. Today's guest is Mr. Nakhil Selby. I call him Selby, and I'll explain. I'll explain why. As most of you guys know, I used to run a mentoring program called Model, and one of the schools that we actually affiliated with and was actually housed in for a long time was Green Tech. So everybody called each other by their last names, or all of the students were called by their last names. So still to this day, I call him Selby. But today's guest is Nakhil Selby. And we're going to be talking about everything from mentorship to the booming car sales industry to men's group and what we need to get together and heal. So Nakhil, first things first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to dive into your story on the back community, and thanks for being a guest.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for having me.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, man, I'm going to get right to it. My first question, my first official question I always like to ask everyone on the podcast is giving you the opportunity to go ahead and tell our audience a little bit more about you. So if you don't mind, I know who you are, but some of the audience may not. So please tell us what you do, what it is that you're passionate about. Here's your opportunity to tell the back community about you.
I appreciate that. Nakhil Selby, raised up in Albany, New York, born in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Ooh.
So a little Southern in me, but got the Albany blood in me as well. Did all of my schooling through high school in Albany, Philip Schuyler, Schenectady for a little bit at Mount Pleasant, and then Green Tech for high school 9th through 12th grade. That's where I ran and met Tyrell, who also introduced me to Brother Youssef, and got involved with all types of outdoor things, mentorship, and just having a voice and an outlet at the high school. After high school, went over to Morehouse College, where I completed a year and a half there before, unfortunately, tuition and everything played a role, so I had to come back home to finish out here, but still was able to finish out. And now I am a store manager at the booming CarMax here in Albany, New York.
Booming.
Where it never stops. It is definitely booming. As you saw, constantly getting calls, constantly getting asked questions. And CarMax is nationwide, so everybody knows who CarMax is, what we're all about. And I am one of the 4 managers that run the one here in the Albany Colony area. Outside of that, I got a 4-year-old son at home.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. That is, man, fatherhood and parenthood all together. I salute everybody who accepts that role, that challenge, and lives in it daily. That is something that you learn from daily. So I enjoy it. Like my son and this fatherhood is amazing. So
nice. Listen, this is an everyday journey, man. It's when you think that you got it figured out, life will throw something else at you, especially as a parent, and then you got to readjust and you got to come up with a new plan. But yeah, man, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. Yep. And big thing I go is just being for my son what I didn't have when I was younger.
Facts.
So the things that I didn't get a chance to experience or things that I wanted but couldn't get, to me, it's like I'm a sucker. Whatever he want, I'm trying my best to make sure he got it. Whatever he need is always going to be there. So, but yeah, it's an experience, but it's a blessing as well. So,
absolutely. Listen, man, one of the most important jobs we can ever have.
Absolutely.
Well, let me see, man. Let me see, because like I said, there's so much I want to unpack with you, but I'm going to start with your career. What was it about car sales or auto sales and the auto industry that drew you to it? How'd you end up in the car industry?
So it's really just coming back to the area, needing a job, being like, you old now, like everything's on you. You got to start paying bills. You got things you want things that you like, but you got to start paying for it now. So it was like, all right, well, what are you really good at that you know you can do? Most of my background is in customer service, sales. Like I was a manager for Finish Line. I was a manager for Radio Shack way back when they were a thing. So, and it's always customer service, some type of sales job. So I was like, all right, well, car sales is new. It's a challenge. And I came in here with no experience. Like, I'm thinking it's just traditional car sales that I've been to with like parents and everybody. Like, I got to go in there. You got to negotiate. You got to wait a couple days to even get the car. A lot of back and forth. Where CarMax, it's completely different. Like, so that was the big thing. Is like, one of the big things is, well, how can I have the job work for me as well as working for the job?
Nice.
So CarMax not only benefits and takes care of their customers, which is a big thing, but they also takes care of their associates just as much, if not more, because they understand the concept of you got to have the right people in place to take care of your customers. If you aren't treating your employees right and they're not being benefited, you're probably not going to have that, what we call iconic and simple and seamless process that we want to deliver to every customer.
I love that. And they always say, what do they say? Most people will say, treat the customer right. And that's what first. But I love companies that live by the motto that treat your employees right, and they'll take care of the customers.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, listen, man, what's going on in the car sales industry that has everybody looking to lease or either come in and get these loans? I think I seen something the other day. It said the average car loan right now is $700 and something for your note. So what's going on? How are car sales booming at a time where we're just transitioning out of a global pandemic? And I think they were booming even through the pandemic. So what's going on? Tell me about this.
So it's odd, and it's what we call new destinations. It is like unprecedented times. Like nobody knows. But what a lot of companies, and this is me doing my own research and like just being a student of the game and knowing like a lot of people don't know how to handle it. They don't expect to it. They don't know how to make up for the cost that they're losing or aren't getting. So the easiest thing that the companies are doing is laying off companies or associates. Whereas CarMax is like, well, we're not going to lay off our employees because we take care of our employees. We're just going to pause on certain things. So like CarMax usually opens between 10 to 12 stores, maybe sometimes 15 every year. They cut back on that. We're like, well, this is a thing that we really don't have to do right now. And that it benefit us from keeping our top talent, our people at the level that we need them. And we can sharpen up on the other things. As far as like rates, things right now, it's ridiculous. Like even through when COVID first hit up until now, we were selling cars like crazy. Like we were breaking records each month, setting records. And then the stimulus check and everything, that was helping people get that extra bit of money they needed for a down payment. And with CarMax, I've been with the company 6.5 years. I've only seen it 3 times where I wasn't able to get a customer approved for a vehicle. And those 3 times was because they just had no income. And I tell people, you can't try to finance a car with no income because how are you going to pay for it?
Absolutely.
I've never seen anybody get approved. The approval rate might be crazy because New York State, their interest rate is capped at 25%. So, and that's on used vehicles. So I have to explain
that's I mean, you're saying 25%, like 25% is low. 25% is astronomical.
And I thought New York at 25% was high. I found out with going to Mississippi, they got 28%. Louis is like 30%. Denver and like Colorado, they go up to like 40-45%, and it's on used vehicles. And just aren't understanding that. They're just like, I got approved. Like, I'm happy. Well, my thing is I take it up a notch. I'm like, all right, I see this is the approval. Let's forget about the base price of the vehicle that says $17,998. That ain't what you're paying.
Go ahead, tell it. Preach.
When you factor in that interest rate, so I tell you, you got a car 17,990. Taxes is a little about 1,200. Then it's a 72-month term at a 25% interest rate. For those first 3.5, 4, maybe 4.5 years, you're strictly just paying interest because of that interest rate. So when you think you're at year 6 and you only owe 7, 8, 9,000, and you look at it and you still owe about 20,000, yeah, because you just paid off $20,000 worth of interest and didn't even touch the principal. And I tell customers that I'm like, look, it's not fair if I don't fully explain the finance aspect to you.
Facts.
I can sell you a car all day, but if you're not knowledgeable about what you're about to sign up for, and this right now is a big purchase for a lot of customers that come into CarMax, you're going to come back at me, yelling at me, want to take my head off because you thinking that you can come in here and either refinance your car or you don't owe that much. But in all actuality, you do. So
I'm glad you said that too, though, because a lot of people don't understand the cost of interest, right? Like when you start to look at those amortization schedules, like if you have a mortgage or even for like a car, and you start to realize how much you end up paying, we end up paying for some of these vehicles or some of these houses double the cost, sometimes triple the cost of what it actually was initially, and that's interest. So I really appreciate it as a consumer. The fact that you at least try to explain somewhat. Obviously, you don't want to go too far into it. I know there's people that handle the financing and stuff like that too, but I think it's very important because people are always looking at, well, I got approved for it. And I know that was the same thing with me at the time. I remember when I had got approved for my first car. It was my second car, might be my second car, but it was just like, oh, okay, well, they approved me for this or whatever. And I was like, oh, and they was like, oh, you make this much? Oh, you got more than enough to pay for it. I did, but was it worth it?
Yep.
And it really wasn't worth it because at the time my credit was shot, and it was just like I got a higher interest rate, and I wasn't trained to actually deal with, like understanding the interest rate and understanding how much I was going to be paying. You just look at what the cost of what your monthly bill is going to be, and most people just make decisions off of that. But once we start to put ourselves in position to be really literate on finances or financial literacy, it really does put us in a healthier space to be better consumers of what we do and make better decisions instead of those emotional decisions we make in the moment.
Yep, that's 100% correct. I have these conversations with people every day, and the big thing is I can have these conversations with people like that close and everything because CarMax isn't like traditional dealerships. Like, we don't have a finance manager. We don't have business office people. Like my associates and everyone in the store, we're called cross-functional. So we can do everything. Like I can sell you your car today, and then I can go to DMV and register your car for you tomorrow.
Wow.
Because I have all of that knowledge. I can run your finance application, go over any type of paperwork or documentations that you need to show for like proof of income, residence, things like that. Have them signed off on by a manager, and then still sign the paperwork with you and get you in and out. But the big thing is that piece you said, that finance piece, because customers see it, I'm approved, and they just, everything else goes out the window to them. And it's scary seeing the people that come in and they're like, I just need a car. Like, but before you came into CarMax, you just hit every dealership up and down Central Avenue, and traditional dealerships are the worst. They run you give them the little bit of information, they just run your credit 20 different times.
Yep. So those are a whole bunch of dings that just brought you down, which is also going to get you a higher interest rate.
Yep.
Listen, my wife and I paid off our cars 4 years ago, and we're just like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was. But nope, said no more car notes. We don't want those. We're gonna run these cars until they don't work no more. So yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like there's, and I always say this on the show, like I really love the fact that there's two things we can talk about readily now: therapy and financial literacy. We don't always talk about those, especially in Black communities, having safe spaces and the comfort to disclose what we're really dealing with. But I'm so thankful that now we actually do. There's more spaces provided for us to talk about what we're going through. There's more resources that'll educate us on how to have different streams of income or to make better financial decisions instead of just waiting until we mess it all up and then having to get it back together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me see. What part of the Capital District did you grow up in?
I was all over. So when we first moved up to Albany, we was in, let's see, we was on Moore Street.
Okay, I think I did see that in one of the comments. Someone was posting a Pop had said, he said, yeah, man, I knew
Pop.
him. Okay.
Pop is family, man. That's big, bro. I knew Pop from Moore Street all the way down to when we moved downtown Albany to the Mount Hope Projects.
Nice.
So yeah, it was Moore Street, Mount Hope Projects, Knox Street with my mom, First Street, First Ave, Second Ave.
Okay. All right. So you done touched several parts is what you're trying to say, Selby. You done been on several parts of the town. I always just like to try to pinpoint it because especially when I have somebody on from the Capital District, a lot of times, Albany's a small community, but it's still so divided and what's the word I'm looking for? Segregated amongst each other. And it's just be like, man, how can this one small place have so many different pockets and their own different communities and values and all of this in this one little small spot? But I always just like to pin it down or narrow it down.
I learned that people are comfortable where they're at in certain places. It's like you said, the whole uptown, downtown segregation.
Yep.
Everybody want to stay when they uptown. Yep, I'm staying up here. I'm downtown, I'm staying down here. I learned by traveling and getting out and being comfortable with the uncomfortable and learning and finding out new places. There's so much life in Albany. You got to go out and find it and experience it.
I'm glad you just said that, man, because to be perfectly honest, there's some people who've never left Albany. Right. There's some people think about all of the neighboring cities that we have there in Albany. You got Albany, Troy, Schenectady, Rensselaer, Glens Falls, Saratoga. And some of us have never gone to any of those places, right? I even look at it on a college level. I know you mentioned going away, and I'm gonna come back to that one too. But just think about it on a college level. There's about 7 or 8 different universities in that small little area in the Capital District area alone too that most of us never even frequent, right? And I think I mentioned it in the book, and I was just saying, like, the only time I went to SUNY Albany was either to chase girls or to play basketball, but never really considered it as any other like real educational spot. But we have a lot of those resources, and it's like, how do we learn how to take advantage of what we have? Because it's not all negative, right? But sometimes we don't learn how to take advantage of what we have.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Let me see. One of the things I definitely want to get to with you, and I couldn't wait to ask you this question is, one, like I said at the top of the podcast, for those who just tuning in, I met Selby back when he was still in high school, and we were running our mentoring program called Model. So he was one of the participants in our program. And I am absolutely proud of this guy. So, well, one, I'm talking to you. So I'm absolutely proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you because, I've seen you continue to fight. I've seen you continue to strive for excellence, and you don't stay down on yourself for too long. So, it's always been a positive, and he's a basketball legend. If I know everybody's big on green tech these days. So, you want to look at one of the founding fathers of that basketball tradition over there at Green Tech, Nakhil Selby, look him up, a basketball legend there too. But mentorship is heavy. So I wanted to ask you, how has mentorship played a role in your life? Do you think that it's important to have a mentor? Why or why not?
Oh, for sure. For me, and this is just what I was dealing with going through in high school. It was another outlet from dealing with, like, whether it was family drama, girlfriend drama, personal drama. it was an outlet to just put all of the negative stuff aside and just focus on whatever we were doing, and whether we were just in the classroom chopping it up, talking about life, whether we were taking a trip somewhere, whatever we were doing, it gave me the opportunity to take my mind off of the negative things for a little bit. But it also gave me networking tools. So now I know how to network, to connect with people, learn how to write grants from you and Brother Yusuf, learned how to how to sell myself better to other folks, to have those relationships to where I can benefit from them, they can benefit from me, and we can have those types of conversations. Rather, just like I say, it goes back to being comfortable with the uncomfortable. I don't like sticking in the same area or the same thing, or sticking to what I'm used to, because sometimes it either gets boring or you get stagnant or you have that disconnect from other walks of life. So mentorship for me is an outlet to where I can connect with someone on multiple different levels. We can branch ideas off of each other. I can learn new things from them. I can share my story. They can share their story. And it's a ongoing relationship. It's a cycle that we can connect at any given moment, or I can use the knowledge that they show me to benefit somewhere else or help someone else out. So that's something that you guys taught us at Model. Model was phenomenal. Like, they like, what you doing at the school? I got Model going on. They're like, oh, what's that? And I tell them, and then, most people just only try to come there because they see y'all with a pizza or something from us. Like, nah, it ain't just about that, man. It's just, some of these conversations we have in here, it can get a little heavy, a little touchy, because it's real life, and most people think that they can handle it about talking about it, but then once they start getting in there talking about it, it gets heavy. So you mentioned therapy, and I was like, man, I just started it, and that is something that I wish I had when I was younger.
Facts.
Rather than having to bring up things from the past at that age, now that I'm almost 30, I could have been talking about it at a younger age with somebody.
Yep.
But now I'm doing it. I like it. I enjoy it. And now it helps me better my communication with everybody that's in my life. So
listen. You spitting gems, because, like I said, at least it's a safe space now to talk about therapy. It wasn't always a safe space, right?
Nope.
I go to therapy. I love therapy. And it's called regular maintenance for me, right? You need to be able to process the feelings. You need to be able to process the things that are happening to us in real time, right? We didn't always have those outlets, right? And if you did go to therapy before, you'd be like, oh, you must be soft, or you must be crazy. And that's not it. Actually, most of the people who go to therapy are searching for better solutions, right? Most of the people who do the work come out better, right? So, I'm thankful for that. And even with Model, that was like, one of the biggest things that we wanted to impart on you guys was that, as young men, you make mistakes. You have situations that happen, and we wanted to draw on our experiences. So whether it was having kids early, whether it was getting kicked out of school, whether it was dealing with issues in the community or at home, like we tried to be as open and transparent about it, because we went through it ourselves too. And I think even as adults, there's a lot of value in being mentored, but definitely as a young adult, to be mentored. And a lot of us have mentors in our families. And I think it's a different feeling sometimes when it's somebody that's not directly related to you, because you know that person doesn't have to give you anything. You know that person doesn't have to say anything, right? So when it does, it hits a little bit different. And it's just something I've seen over the years. Just like, wait a minute, I'm saying the same thing to you that your dad said or your mom said or whatever. But sometimes you need that outside person saying it to you, and then it clicks.
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. But you talk about going to Morehouse, man. Yo, I remember the Morehouse experience. I remember you and X leaving to go down there. And I'm just like, yo, I told my man James, yo, I got these two guys coming down there. Take care of these guys for me. I remember hanging out, and I want to say I might have took you guys to dinner in Harlem. I was in Harlem. You guys came down for an event with Brother Yusuf. And I'm just like, I think we went to what's the name of that restaurant? Sylvia's.
Yep.
Sylvia's, right? And it was just like, I think I still got the picture.
Oh,
So,
I still got it.
oh,
Yep.
okay, yeah. But I remember you guys leaving, you guys going to Morehouse together, and I was just so happy, and I know you guys were so happy, right? And then I remember, being so crushed because of the financial difficulties of staying in school and being out of state. And I'm on the outside looking in, so I can only imagine what that experience was for you and X. But one thing about you was that you remained extremely positive, right? Which is pretty much unheard of for somebody your age at the time, right? And you didn't become so bitter. Or if you did, you damn sure didn't show it externally. But what was that experience like for you? Because like that's one of the things I detail in the book too, is about how expensive school is and the the financial strain that it causes for most of our families and the things that a lot of the outside world might not know that that goes on. So, what was that experience like leaving, going to Atlanta, and then hitting that stumbling block with finances?
So the beginning of it was like everyone knew Morehouse was my top choice. Like even with us going on like the HBCU tour our junior senior year of high school in Green Tech, it was like Norfolk State was like a top contender, but it was like Morehouse was like it for me. Like I did all my research on it. I knew the history of it. I knew the legacy that I wanted for myself, being a Morehouse man, and going into that school and what I wanted to create for myself. On top of, you're familiar with Green Tech, in order to graduate, you had to do a certain amount of community service hours. And, me and X like exceeded that. We only had to do 100 hours our entire high school career, 9th through 12th grade. I think me and X was between 600 and 700 community service hours for our high school year. And we knew like we wanted to go on that type of track going into Morehouse, and luckily they had it. The big thing going to Morehouse for me was that the legacy, and really just branching off, being on my own, learning new things, seeing the world, and having my own story and legacy to follow, so that one day I can look back on it, write a book on it, tell my kids about it, and then tell my family about it. Being the second person, because my older brother Tyler, he went to college, and then me. Really on my mom's side and dad's side, really being the first person from college, or from those sides, really to go to college, and not just go, but to go and finish. So when it came to Morehouse, it was like, all right, when I first got there, a lot of people don't know. When I got there, thought everything was fine, because that's what my enrollment counselor told me, like everything was fine. I get there, it was like, nope, your balance is still such and such. So in order to even move into your campus with X, you have to have this much. So I'm like in panic mode, trying to do everything. Family couldn't help out. Green Tech came through. A lot of people don't know. Green Tech raised like, I can't even remember the amount, but they covered the balance for the first year for me, or first semester. And I was like, look, man, I get a job down here to pay for school. I'm in here. I do everything. Still thinking that when me and Xavier applied, that we were going to be a part of their community service program that would have given us a grant after the first year and would have paid for school for us. So once I was finally able to get the balance and everything cleared up, moved in, me and X went to their like service learning area. I was talking to them, and they was like, yeah, you guys, like, we don't even have an application or anything for you guys. So what happened was we filled it when we submitted our application to them. We had to like I believe we had to mail in the application for like the Service Learning Award, and part of the Rhodes Scholar. So I became a Rhodes Scholar at Morehouse. But they never translated over when they moved digitally into our application. So we never got the opportunity to become and be a part of that group, and missed out on potentially having school paid for us.
Wow.
So that was the big thing.
I never knew that.
Financing. Yep. That was the big thing into financing, because it was like, or the financial part of it. Because it was like, But now we were expecting that
Mm,
because we got some grants, we had some other things, but that still doesn't cover the cost of Morehouse, because at the time when we went, Morehouse was like $38,000 a year.
mm,
But each semester it increased. So by the
mm.
time I left, it was already over $40,000 a
Oof.
year for Odyssey. And you
Mm,
talk about a semester, there's between 12 and 13,000 a semester.
mm,
So it was like, ugh. So I was able to do the first semester, came back for pretty much the second semester, but then it was like, look, what you're paying and what you're giving is just not enough to cover it. Unfortunately, either
mm,
this much or you have to be off campus by this amount. That was on a Tuesday. By Friday of that same week, I was off campus.
mm.
So heartbreaking. A lot of things going through. Like, all right, what am I gonna do? Uh, the big thing for me that hit me was like, Green Tech just put all of this time and effort in, raised all this money to help me get here. Now I have to go back and explain to them why I'm not there.
Mm.
And it wasn't even grades.
Nope.
I can call
Nope.
her if she's still there. Call there now and ask for transcript, and it wasn't even grades. It was literally just money and the financial part of not being able to pay for school.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. And it's like, you know, I'm glad that you elaborated on that and said that, you know, sometimes being sent home has nothing to do with, you know, what I mean, you performing academically. You're meeting the mark academically. You're applying for the things that you know will financially secure yourself there. And then when those things don't happen, obviously, you end up having to get bounced out. But even when that happened, I just remember you coming back home and just like, don't worry, bro, I'm not gonna stop here. Right. You're
Nope.
just like, I'm not gonna stop here. This isn't gonna stop us. You know, me and X still got a plan to get back to Morehouse because we still want to get there. You know what I mean? But and I say that and I ask you that to say because a lot of people don't know how to bounce back. A lot of people don't understand the importance of resiliency, right? Especially young adults, right? And it's just like, oh, well, you know what? Something bad happened. I think it's the end of the world for me. Or something bad happened. It was just like, there's no path for me to do better. And that's so far from the truth. Most of us experience our fair share of ups and downs and negatives that happen to us too, but the people who decide to have a positive attitude end up coming out better and not bitter. And you were one of those people I've seen that came out better and not bitter. So salute to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, salute to you. Let me see. Let me see.
I tell
Uh,
they can experience HBCUs though to do it.
Facts. Facts.
Do it.
Shout out to Johnson C. Smith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was like, I remember you telling us about your story and everything about when like you going through it and came from Justin and then going down to North Carolina and HBCU experience. And I was like, and then actually being able to go on the HBCU tour and see it in
Yeah.
person. Oh yeah, I'm right at home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
and Morehouse definitely was the way. And then James King earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude is goaded down there, man. He made sure me and X was good. He made sure we didn't have to worry about nothing. He always popped up on campus, checked in on us straight, and took us off campus to just
Mm.
show his city and get us familiarized with it and showed us.
Nice.
So definitely shout
Nice.
out.
Yeah, he was just here in DC, man. I got a chance to get up with him and one of the other guys I used to mentor in the Natural Leaders Network program. But he always asks about you two guys whenever I speak to him. So shout out to James King, Mr. ATL himself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me see, man. Uh, uh, One of the other things that is near and dear to my heart, and it also goes back to this whole idea of therapy, right? There's a lot of violence and negativity in the area. And how have you been affected by gun violence or that type of violence in the Capital District area?
It's crazy, man. Like, it's growing up in Albany and everything. It's ridiculous. Like I had family members that were victims of gun violence. I had friends that were victims to it. And then just being in is like people get accustomed to it. So it's like you hear about it, and people's like, well, there's Albany. But it's like, all right, yeah, that's Albany. But what are we doing to change that? Like, what are you doing to influence the people that you're around or the people that your family were friends with to change that narrative? Because you change your part can influence somebody else to change theirs.
Facts.
So for me, it was like just not even getting caught up with it to where now I used to live in Albany. I had my son. I don't even live in Albany anymore. I'm in Guilderland. I'm on the outside of Albany. I think pause there.
There you go.
There. But yeah, I got son and family out of Albany area, and we're on the outskirts of Albany just because I was a part of that and my upbringing. I don't need my son around it. Yeah, you can know about Albany, you can hear about it, but you don't need to directly be living in it or experiencing it, because when you do that, that's when you start having other people in your ear, other people trying to influence you. So where now you're confused about what to do, even though you're your parents and you're gonna, for the most part, listen to what your parents are telling you and showing you. But to prevent that from happening at a young age, we just move away from it. I still got love for Albany. I still show love to Albany, but I don't have to directly live there or be involved with what's going on to save myself stress.
Absolutely. Not even just stress though, to save my life.
Yep.
Right. Because sometimes it's nothing that you do directly, but it is because you're in close proximity to somebody else. And you never really know what's going on with other people. People don't tell you, oh, I just did this, and now you got somebody else coming back after you or whatever, right? So I always say the kids in the inner city are some of the most gifted kids that you will ever meet, right? Because if you look at the obstacles or the adversities we got to deal with at home, no electricity, no food, sometimes no house, right? And it's just like you got to deal with gangs, you got to deal with drugs, and then still be expected to be positive, right? And it's just like it's one of those things where we have to start to really fully examine that as part of the overall experience for young adults. And one of the ladies who read my book, she's a director of one of the programs up there, and she was just saying, Ty, I appreciate your book because I had no idea what the kids were actually up against in our program. A lot of the mentors weren't making connections with some of the students, and now I know why. And it's just like, people just think that some people are acting out. Some people aren't acting out. Some people got mental or physical disabilities. Some people aren't acting out. Some people just like, I'm upset. I'm emotionally in a rut because of what I got to deal with at home. Or I just got barked on at home, or, I just got hit in the head just because I'm a nerd or something like that. It's all types of those situations. But that's why I say we're some of the most gifted and brightest kids once someone takes the time out to turn on our light bulb and takes the time out to show interest in us. When that light bulb comes on, it never goes out.
Never does.
Yeah, never goes out. Never goes out.
One good motto Brother Yusuf turned on for all of us. You can go to almost anybody in this group, from like the boys' side, the girls' side, because can't forget about the girls part of the group.
Facts.
Yeah, we was definitely crazy back then, but we gave people a run for their money, especially when we go on those camping trips. But they knew, like, for sure, when it was time to buckle down and learn and speak about our experiences, we was going to show out. So
facts. One trip that stands out to me with you guys was actually Brooklyn. Was outdoor something. I can't think of the name of it, but we stayed there at the old plane hangar in Brooklyn, and that was the first time I seen your man X step up and start speaking, and he just took over the entire crowd, and he was so excited. But it's just like, you look at those opportunities and the exposure, what it was able to do for you guys, and I think those types of activities and events are what really makes the difference. I say exposure and consistency are the two biggest pieces in a young adult's life. even for some adults, take that back. But exposure and consistency, the more we have of it, it provides opportunities or a thought process of what we can have, what we can strive towards, what's available. Right. So yeah, that Brooklyn trip was out of this world.
Yeah. Yeah, that trip was definitely crazy and different, but
shout out to North Face too, man.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
North Face always came through.
Yeah. Well, let me see, man. Now being the tender age. Going through high school or still that young adult who just went off to college, what is something you would tell the younger version of Nakhil Selby?
It's cliche a little bit, but I like LeBron's post where he said go for greatness. Because I felt like I was like, especially in high school, like being a little reserved or not speaking up as much as I know I could have, like sharing my ideas, or even when it was like, oh, I know the answer, but I'm not going to raise my hand to say anything, is be more willing to speak your mind, whether if it's whatever it's in. Because I learned that here with like working through CarMax and everything. Share your ideas, share your experiences. I'm all about experiences and efficiency. So I like when you said experiences there, because now I get to share my thought process and not be hesitant on when I'm speaking up on things or when I'm developing an associate of mine, because I'm not hesitant to do that. I'm not so reserved anymore.
Nice.
So I reserved. I didn't want to speak on things. I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't want to do the extra work. I was like, it's not even second thought now. It's just natural for me to speak up, speak about things that I'm passionate about, speak on things that I want to be involved in. So I'm in charge of our whole CarMax Care community organization at my job right now.
Nice.
Because now I'm like, well, most people that work for CarMax here and at my store don't really know much about Albany. They don't know about the great non-for-profits out here. They don't know about the great leadership and people that's out there. They just hear the thing they hear on the news, so they start drawing their own conclusions. But now if I can bring them to places like 100 Black Men, or if I can bring them to Hood's House of Hoops, or if I can bring them to the Boys and Girls Club and all the places that I'm familiar with, and they can see these things and like, wait, this is what you go home to, or this is things that you're involved with. Yeah, because this is what I live. So y'all think like I say I'm from Albany because I was raised here, but it's not the type of Albany I see. This is the other layers of Albany that you can see and develop and know about if you just give it a chance. So not being reserved and speaking up to be able to do those things and to get back to Albany is something big for me.
Nice. And let me see, man. I'm gonna take you down another path right now, only because one of the reasons I love about this podcast is that I get a chance to highlight you, and I get a chance to showcase you in ways that some people may never get a chance to see you in. So I got my rapid fire questions I want to ask you right now too. So these are just random. So, and this is going to give me a better idea of who you are too. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
All right. First one, who's the greatest athlete of all time?
In any sport?
Any sport, greatest athlete of all time.
Football's definitely my first love when it comes to sports. I'm gonna have to go Deion Sanders.
Ooh, okay, Coach Prime. Coach
For sure.
Prime with the high step.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Greatest rivalry of all time. What's your greatest sports rivalry of all time?
You got to go LA and Celtics.
Okay. Well, I was gonna go Albany High versus Green Tech, but okay, I guess we can go. It's like,
well, if you want to go, if you want, because it was different for us. Like when I was coming up, we never really got a chance to play against Albany High. We always requested it, but I don't know what it was behind the scenes that they didn't want to allow happen. So, like, it never really happened. We always played like Albany Academy or the other schools outside. So our biggest rivalry for me was always Shenandoah Hoa. Because when I was playing, you had the Herder brothers playing. Shout out to Kevin Herder out in the league. So that's who our rivalry was against. It wasn't really with Albany because they wouldn't let that happen.
I do remember that now. Yep, I do remember that.
Whether it was football, basketball, whatever it was, it just never happened. And then you ought to remember for us, we had basketball from my freshman year all the way up to my senior year when I was here. We didn't get a football team until my junior year. So it was like, so they really wasn't trying to let that happen.
Okay. Let me see. Greatest rapper of all time. And why? I want to know this one too. You from a younger generation. I have a tough time understanding.
So for me, and it's funny because I just had this conversation with my boy Omar, Ray Sean, and Country. Shout out to them. For me, it's tough because they're like, I'm an old soul, so they was like, bro, you listen to more old school music than new school. Yeah, because new school don't talk about nothing. We was listening to in the car I'm driving, Busta Rhymes, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See came on. I was like, that song right now can slaughter 20 songs in the new school right now easily, without any question. Rapper wise, we got into it was between Biggie and Tupac.
Okay.
And I was
like where this is going.
It's tough because for me personally, Biggie was more lyrical, raw, straight to the point. And Pac talked a lot of shit, but Pac also was very poetic.
Facts. All facts.
So it's like, what side am I leaning more towards? Because it's like, I do the poetry side, I do the spoken word side. I still write to this day. So I can connect with Pac on that level. But then when it's like this straight to the point, it's like Biggie. But then it's like Tupac can also get in that realm as well. So it's like, who do you really go with? It's hard.
Wait. You ain't answered the question. You ain't answered the question. You gave me all that background to tell me what? Who's the greatest rapper of all time?
For me, it's gonna have to be Pac.
Let's go. Okay.
Simply because like I do pros and cons, so I can connect with Pac on a. So for me, with that, it's like it's a no-brainer for me. Okay. But it's like Biggie is right there.
Lyrically, Biggie was way better than Pac. You know, and I'm just gonna say that. And I'm a Pac head, so I'm with you. Pac is my guy for so many different reasons, right? Because he exhibited all of these different facets of who he was, right? He never was limited in one particular space. But lyrically, I could still listen to some stuff that Big said and be like, because I didn't understand it then. I didn't have the full vernacular vocabulary to understand what he was talking about. At 39, I'm like, that's what he was saying. I liked it, but I didn't even understand it. And now that I understand him, I'm like, man, and he was 24, 24, somewhere 23, 24, 25, somewhere around there when he was doing that. So yeah, okay, but no, we're gonna stick with Pac. We're gonna stick with Pac. Greatest sneaker of all time. Your credibility.
I know everybody would expect to say. Yeah, I know everybody would expect to say like Jordan. Like you can never go wrong with a classic Jordan. But for me, it's actually because of like the style I like with them, and like you can never go wrong with a pair of them. Air
Air
Max
Max.
95.
I knew it. I knew you was gonna say. You look like an Air Max. Like an Air Max. Watch.
But
It's like, why she say Air Max? Why she say
it's
Air Max?
if I showed you,
Look at that.
it's like you can never go wrong with them. So it's like, of course, I'm a big sneakerhead. Like I got tons of shoes. So it's like I can easily go into the Jordan side and wear a different pair every day. I can go into the Air Max side and wear a pair every day. You always got to have the classics, the ups, the Tims, but it's like classic, can't go wrong with a pair of 95s.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for indulging me in this rapid fire series, man. I appreciate that. I'm gonna get back to the heart of it, man. I got about 3 more questions for you. I'm letting you go. You ready?
Yep.
If you were to define success, how would you define success? What's your definition of what success looks like?
How do people see you, and the type of legacy you leave behind? Everybody's success is all monetary and the wealthiness of someone, or the things that they have, like the valuable things. For me, it's about character, it's about judgment, it's about integrity, and it's all about the type of legacy you see leave behind. Because if you leave the legacy, everybody know, oh yeah, such and such had this much money, or such and such always had the new pair of shoes or the new pair of things. All right, but what did he do, or what did she do, or what did they do that inspired others? What did they do that people can really say, like, yeah, I can actually tell a story about that. What did that person leave behind for others to really benefit from or to connect with? So for me, success is measured by the type of character and the type of judgment a person has on a day-to-day basis, and doesn't like switch and play both roles. A lot of people can be two-faced and try to play both sides, but eventually catch up to them.
Facts. Okay. I like that. Let me see. Going off on a tangent. To that point, and being a man who has worked with you since high school, what was it like for you to read my book, Just a Kid from Arbor Hill? Because you guys met me at a time frame in which I described in the book, and got a chance to see that side of Rail. But what was it like for you reading Just a Kid from Arbor Hill?
Well, it was eye-opening, because now it gave me someone else who lives in the same city and comes from the same city and area I'm from, and has similarities, being so close, but also have so many differences, but still being so close. So it's like, now I got to see the perspective in our city from someone else's eyes and someone else's mentality of what they were dealing with, how they coped with it, and how they survived in living in Albany and coming up in Albany. So it's like, man, I was just showing my uncle yesterday when he was watching the podcast, like, it's like, that's the book you be reading something about? That's it? And my uncle lived right in the hood, right on the corner of First and North Lake. So literally right up the road from Judson. So I'm like, everything he's talking about is right in this area. So I can connect with it and can vouch for it, because nothing in that book was a lie. Nothing was an overstretch of the truth. Everything was sincere. It was factual. And you can probably still experience a lot of that right now if you came to Albany and walked through certain areas. So that book was just an eye opener for me, seeing it from someone else's eyes. And I'm like, oh, I see this. I experienced that. I go to this. I can go fall into that trap right now. It's like, man, I read that book twice already, and I've been trying to get other people that's like, even if I'd be like, if you don't want to support it, I understand you probably don't know him. I can vouch for him. My copy of it. I just need that back. Because my son is older, my son reading it. But yeah, I need that.
He said, I need that back. I need that back. I got a signed copy. I need mine back.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, that book is definitely hit on a lot of levels, and I definitely appreciate you for writing it, putting it out there, and sharing not only your story but our story when it comes to our area, our Albany.
Nice.
Because, like you said, people only don't understand what Albany has, what Albany is about, and what Albany can give to other people who just see Albany for what it is and what they hear about it.
Nice. I had to ask that while I had you on here. Next question. Thinking about your life and all that you've accomplished and all that you've been through, what about your life's path are you most proud of, Selby?
Not being the typical statistic for Albany and not following down the wrong paths. Like I could have easily went through the wrong paths being around it, whether it's family, friends, whatever, living through it, really creating my own lane and my own way.
Nice.
You're like, man, I haven't seen or heard from you in a while. Or family be like, you can change, man. You don't even reach out. Like, yeah, because the things that I experienced and had no say so over when I was young, I was a kid. I can't tell nobody no. I can't speak up for myself. I'm older now. I have my own life. I have my own family. I can completely separate myself from family. I can still love you from a distance, but I don't have to be around you. Especially if you're bringing negativity to my life. I dealt with that already. We dealt with it as kids. We dealt with it as teens. We dealt with it as young adults. Now that I'm in my later 20s, about to be 30 this year, it's like I at this point, it's all about clarity. It's all about longevity, and it's all about just being the best person I could be for myself, my family, and my son.
Yeah.
If you can't respect that and you can't acknowledge that, like sometimes I'm not coming out because I'm going with my son, or I just don't want to go out because I don't like tired. I'd rather be home. All right, you can go out and do it. I'm not telling you stop what you're doing, but right now that's just not for me. And being comfortable with telling people no, and being comfortable with saying no, I'm good, and being okay if somebody gets upset, or not really worrying about how other people are going to feel about how I'm feeling or my response to something. The worrying game has stopped.
Good. Let me see, man. End us on this note. You know, I've been seeing you in the gym a lot lately. I know you guys got a support group, and without going into all of the details, you know, I just wanted to. Why was it so important for you guys to create your own support group, and how beneficial has that been to you?
It's been very beneficial, honestly. Like we have a whole group chat. We have like times where we like saying we meeting up, and we be in the gym for a while. Like country here, corrections officer. So like sometimes he work double 7 a.m. to 11 at night. So he'll try to get in the gym at like 5 in the morning with me just to get a quick workout in before he, then Omar is usually out in around 3-4 o'clock. So he can get to the gym later on after work and get a workout in. And then my schedule is all over the place. So I can go in the morning, I can go anytime when I'm off, or I can go later. But the support group there is really for us to just have that additional outlet outside of home. Like if we need to just talk about personal things, if we need to just talk about things guys go through, if we need to talk about things Black men go through, and get each other's perspectives on it, and it's a judgment-free zone. And we just embrace each other. We just talk about whatever's on each other's mind. We give whether if we don't even give our advice, we just there as to listen. And seeing that, especially with me being the oldest out of the group, and seeing where their mentality and their level is at, and seeing like, oh yeah, this is definitely because now it's like I don't even see myself as the oldest person. See myself part of this group that we have. We go to the gym. We might go get a bite to eat. We might go out for a drink, whatever it is, and we just chop it up. And it's no judgment, and we look out for each other. One day somebody else might have it, the other person might not. Don't worry about it. I got you. The other day we all doing it. We all split it. We all be like, nah, I got it.
Yep.
And we just hold each other down, but also hold each other accountable.
Nice.
Like we gonna, you gonna say you doing this and these your goals. All right, we gonna be there with you and we gonna help you reach those goals, and we gonna challenge you.
Mm.
I'm telling you, I'm in the gym and I'm doing 30 minutes of cardio, and here it is 15 minutes later, and I'm talking about I'm
Don't
done.
send me no picture of you laid up at the house on the couch.
Yeah, nope. So it's like, tell us you coming to the gym, and we tell you we at the gym at 6 o'clock, and you be like, I'm on my way, and here it is 7:30, and you still ain't there. Like, nah, we can joke about it, but like we say we doing this for real, and we serious about it, then we gonna hold you accountable about it. So
Nice.
it's all about, and this group is all about accountability. It's all about a judgment-free zone, and it's all about uplifting the Black kings that we have. So
nice. Final question for you, Selby. We have arrived. My final question. What do you read? What do you listen to that inspires you? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay positive?
music-wise, it's all over. Like I have over about 3,000 songs in my Apple Music that I just, like, I can easily just hit shuffle, and any song that plays I'm fine with.
Nice.
So I just go through it into anything. So you can go from listening to Pop Smoke, Lil Baby right now to you hear some Betty Wright, or you'll hear some Anita Baker in there. You hear some Maxwell. So my music catalog is very, very long, and I'm very versed. And that music for me is an outlet. I can just throw headphones on, and I can just go into a whole nother realm, because it's like, all right, now I can really focus. And that's where I get my inspiration when it comes to like writing poetry, writing spoken word. It comes right from that, because now I can connect on different levels and just erase from the world for a little bit and just write. Book wise, like I'm reading your book, and then one of my professors from Morehouse, his name is Daniel Black. And this dude, man, he wasn't just the reading teacher at Morehouse for me. He was like social studies, economics, history, because that's all we got. Like, before we could walk into his classroom as a group, and this was all men at Morehouse, we had to recite the Black National Anthem in the hallway before we can even walk into the classroom. He taught it to us once, and that was it. You showed up late, you had to stand up in front of the class and recite it. You didn't do the homework or the assignment, you had to stand up. And it wasn't like, no. He said, I'm not going to take it easy on you guys, because if I take it easy on you, either the world's not going to take it easy on you. The world already has this thought process that Black men aren't smart, they can't read, all types of negatives. So I'm not going to give you a free pass. I'm going to make this course hard, but I'm going to make it to where you benefit from it. That's exactly what it was. This dude is from Arkansas. He left Arkansas at 15 years old and didn't go back home until he was 21. And at 21, he had a PhD. I'm like, in 6 years, he got a PhD, like, as a Black man in Arkansas and in Philadelphia, Temple, where he went. So now he teaches at Morehouse. I think he does Spelman as well, in Clark, Atlanta.
Nice.
So I tell everybody, if you could look up the author Daniel Black and read, the first book I'm gonna tell you to read is called Perfect Peace. You read that book, man, you go.
I'm on it.
It's definitely gonna touch some nerves, man. But you got that. He got another one called. I got them all right here. I'm telling you. So you got The Coming. You got this one right here, probably my favorite. They Tell Me of a Home.
Yep.
And then you got The Sacred Place.
Nice.
So that, and your book, like I said, I read your book twice already. It's back here, but it's about to be out on loan for somebody to read. Because I just want to get their perspective on like what is your view of Albany now that you read this book, and things that I have shown you, and things that you've experienced being in Albany, because a lot of people that work at CarMax, they aren't from this area.
Nice.
And now read this book and let me know what you think about it.
I love it.
So
I love it.
That's it, man. It's just music is always gonna be there for me, and now it's just starting to pick back up on the readings. And then this author, Daniel Black, he's good friends with Toni Morrison as well.
Nice.
So one day during class, he calls her right up, spoke about the book, and then he made us read her book, and then had to write a whole report on it. So definitely some good reads there if anybody is interested in looking at the Daniel Black.
Okay. Well, listen, man, there you have it, the Black community. We have the man, Nakhil Selby, who I love, who I value. I respect what you're doing. I respect your positivity. I respect the fact that, you're paying it forward for other people now. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for practicing peace. Right. And thank you for your resiliency and constantly trying. So I appreciate that. And we salute to you.
I appreciate you. All the love. Definitely appreciate everything, man.
Yeah, well,
definitely a blessing.
Oh,
definitely a blessing. Definitely allowed me to know what giving back is, especially when I was able to be given to see how it benefits others. So I appreciate you and everything that you guys did for us in high school, and even still to this day, we can call each other, chop it up.
Yeah.
So next time I'm down in your area, we'll definitely have to link up, because I said it's just me up here. No more family in Albany. Everybody's down in Maryland, DC, North Carolina. So next time I'm down there, which is probably in August, because I'll be a first-time uncle this year. So
nice.
I'll be down there, and we'll have to link up.
We'll make it happen, Captain. Well, listen, man, enjoy the rest of your day. I know you probably gonna meet up with your group, go to the gym. I'm gonna get ready to go pick these kids up, man. Thank you again for allowing me to dive into your story, and I can't wait to get it out to the world, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, Selby.
You as well. I appreciate it.
Peace.
Keep climbing up the ladder. A Black Lives Matter. It matter. So all you young people, give me all. 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 Matter. A Black Lives Matter. They matter. A Black Lives Matter.